Welcome, everybody.
Hello, all. See you all.
Yes.
It's lovely to see you all. Hello, 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 hello. And all the lovely lurkers. There you all are. Yes, fantastic. We do. I love a good lurk.
So let's get started. Welcome to the Sid City Social Club for Tuesday, March 1st, already in March. And that's it. Over to Sid.
It's lovely to see you all. I have had quite a hectic few weeks. I had a cold last time, you all noticed, or some of you might have noticed. I was just picking up tissues left, right, and center. And it was one of those colds that just was like a tap. I couldn't turn it off. And then my nostrils got so sensitive that even sort of standing up made me sneeze, which is hilarious. But then I had to got rid of it by today, which I did. I took a pill. Don't often do that. Something, can't remember what it's called, something D. And it sort of dries everything up because I had to go to the dentist. And I did tell them when I got there, look, I think got over this massive cold. Are you okay? I did test negative this morning before I went in. And they went, oh, yeah, no problem. So I got 2 hours of dentistry done where they took out all the 30-year-old fillings. Those fillings are older than most of you. And they put in brand new ones. But the anesthetic is just worn off. So it feels like distant thunder in there, but it's all good. It's all good. But if I'm not at my tip top in terms of memory and recall, then that'll probably be the reason. When have I ever been to my tip top memory and recall? Anyway, doesn't matter. That's not important. The important thing is that it's at least 2 people's birthdays to be celebrated any time now. So let's wheel out the first person.
Let's talk to Emily, whose birthday was yesterday.
Hello, happy birthday.
Thank you.
I'm going to conduct everybody else's happy birthday.
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you!
I will tell you, I've said this once before, but because you just said that, Pam, in the 90s, I took my friend Joe. Emily, I'm coming, I promise I'm coming to you, but this might amuse you too. To a restaurant in Los Angeles. And we always went to the same restaurant. And it wasn't a fancy restaurant. It was a mild, mellow little Italian place. And we sat in the corner. And I told the waiter that it's Joe's birthday. And he was like, oh, great. We'll bring out a cake. So halfway through or at the end, whenever it was, they brought out a cake and sang happy birthday to you. And there was someone singing louder than everybody else in the corner. And it was Stevie Wonder singing his version of happy birthday. He was eating alone. So that's one of the things, great memories of my life, that my friend had Stevie Wonder sing happy birthday to him in Stevie Wonder.
Oh, wow.
So how are you, Emily?
Great.
Are you happy that life might be returning a little bit to normal in terms of all this monstrosity, viral monstrosity?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. So the more people I get out of my house, the better. So.
We talked not long ago, but I don't remember whether you mentioned you had kids.
Yeah, I have a son and I have a ward. So.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's right. That's right. And are you a legal foster parent, or is it a more of a court thing, a temporary court thing?
It's a temporary to permanent guardianship of a family member with developmental disabilities.
That's right. Thank you for reminding me. I don't know how I forgot that, but there you go. There's my memory playing up right there. That's a fascinating thing. I don't think we talked very much about that. We mentioned it a bit, but what was that like? I mean, obviously you sign up for this because this is an altruistic thing to do.
Well, yeah.
You don't get, forced like jury duty to look after a child.
No, you do not. No, it was definitely not something we expected to do, but we had invited him to live with us for a while. He had been in a foster care system. We invited him in with us, and that's when we discovered sort of the depth of his disability.
Right.
when it turned in, it was going to be like a short term, let's help him finish high school, get him out on his own. And then it turned into, oh, this is going to be a very different life for him. So we're going to
Right.
have to take guardianship and make sure that he's taken care of. So
Absolutely. Does he understand how amazing you're being? I mean, amazing isn't always the right word when it's, but certainly when it comes to a pseudo parent or parent figure, if that's even possible or polite to answer.
yeah, I mean, it gets complicated because, you don't want to infantilize, an adult essentially.
Yeah, of course.
But I mean, I would say cognitively somewhere kind of around 10, 11 years old. So,
Right.
He gets the broad strokes, but needs a lot of repetition. And he's not always happy about it. I mean, there's a lot of trauma there because, you're dealing with, a foster care situation and abuse situation. So there's a lot kind of going on.
Absolutely. I think that's an amazing thing that you're doing. I mean, it's an astonishingly long-term project, as you rightly say. But what a responsibility. And how does your son deal with that?
He is remarkable. I mean, he has really just handled it with aplomb. I mean, he is so mature. So I'm sure it's something he'll discuss with a therapist later in life.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all got to be for the positive. I think you can't but learn in astonishingly deep ways from experiences like this.
Well, it's opened up whole avenues of career possibilities to me. So I'm really hoping to go into patient advocacy and low-income advocacy in healthcare when he's eventually out on his own and I can go back to school.
We need more people like you, Emily. That is absolutely certain. That is wonderful. Oh, that's so great. And obviously, COVID has not particularly affected that particular relationship in any specific way. But are you guys? What's the silver lining on the cloud for you guys? What are you looking forward to?
We just moved house. We're in a little bit nicer neighborhood than we used to be.
Right.
Much smaller house, much bigger yard, and we're very close to parks and within walking distance. So we're really excited now that kind of spring is almost here, and we're going to be able to be outside and moving around and just enjoy that together. So
that's fantastic. I think a garden, a yard is the most important room in a house. So to have a bigger yard is just fantastic because it's so lovely to be outside. I'm so happy for you. That's really cool. Where are you? Ish.
Minnesota.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
All right. So you're going to get winter for another month or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to wriggle out of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, March is never good for us. So
yeah, I think April is the last possible snowstorm in Massachusetts. So and I think we just come after you. Whatever you get, we get a day later. So yeah, we're a little bit warmer because we're close to the coast and it's very warm here, which is nice. It's beastly in Minnesota when the beast comes out. The beast from the east or the west. I don't know which wind you get most often.
We've been getting the polar vortex, so that's been fun.
That's just dark. Yeah, I don't like the sound of any kind of vortex in my life. What did you do for your birthday?
It's kind of been a long birthday, so we've been kind of celebrating since January. Well, it's a milestone birthday, so you kind of trickle in the celebrations as you can. And so my big gift now is I'm gifting myself a trip to Chicago in April. So
we'll see each other. Fantastic.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll all hang out in the same room somewhere. We'll find, I don't know how that will, but it will. It'll all be great. That'll be great. It'll be so nice to say hello to everybody in real life. Fingers crossed. Well, look, I look forward to seeing you in April. And have a fantastic rest of birthday stretch, however long that lasts. And you're an angel, Emily.
Oh, all right.
Thanks, Emily. Happy birthday. All right, let's go to Keelis, whose birthday is Thursday. Jeff.
Keelis, hello. It's good to see your happy face again. And of course, happy birthday. But let's do that. Let's do a happy birthday. I'm not going to conduct it because I felt a little bit. Can we
Happy
shout out a happy
birthday.
birthday?
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
You get it, Pam. You do that. It's good to see you again anyway, Keyless. And so what your birthday is Thursday?
Yeah, it's Thursday the 3rd.
Oh, okay. What are your plans? Do you have a plan?
Well, not a whole lot. I am going to order blueberry-filled donut holes with a blueberry glaze and cream cheese frosting, though. So I'm
Ooh.
very much looking forward to that.
That sounds fantastic. Well, you've got to find a way to be. You've got to find your way to give yourself a present. Do you often do that?
Well, I'll also be in Chicago, so I'm going to be joining that group. So that could count.
That's a great birthday present. That'll be fun. That's a present for everybody. That's fantastic. Do you know what's happening in Chicago? I know there's a convention, but I don't really have any details.
Well, in theory, there's going to be a lot of people there, and there will probably be weather. There'll probably be traffic too. Conversations, hugs, things of that nature, I would expect.
That's great.
I've volunteered to run a panel on Star Trek and disability with Rob. We have yet to hear back on it if we're approved or not, but
I will definitely attend if they can find a way, if at least to watch. I certainly don't need to be on the panel. What do I know? But I'd love to come and watch. That would be fantastic. I hope they'll find a way to make time for that. They usually do. They're usually pretty kind about that sort of thing.
Sometimes a lot of people don't like to talk about it because it's not like a lot of places want more just positive panels. And there's a lot of critique that comes when talking about disability and representation.
But talking about disability is so positive, especially if you're, if you're talking from a place of authority. It's one of the things that it's positive because most people just avoid the conversation so often. So people will only come out having learned something, however small, which is, there is no negative there. Even if it's not entirely, Morris dancing and happiness all the time. You've got to say some things that are a bummer, but that because we have to learn how to, as a society, to take more responsibility for each other. But that's not negative by any stretch of the imagination. Don't shy away from difficult.
I try not to.
I know you don't. I'm just saying, don't for the sake of the convention. Yeah, because both of you will be just great advocates. And I just think I think just to see your smiling face is just positive. And to see Rob and how engaged he is and how busy, that's just positive. It gives people a really human sense of disability. And it really gives them a sense that it's not the end of the world should it happen to one. That, oh my goodness, I've met people who are just great and having as good a life as anyone else. And that's pretty terrific. So I think that's another positive. What do you think they would have a problem with?
Well, part of a critique does hit on what's been done wrong in there. And I've pitched things like this before, and they don't generally want to talk about the critical side of it, like what isn't good representation. They want to hear that Star Trek is succeeding. So when I talk about like Pike, when he got shown his future in Discovery and how it was treated as the worst fate possible, worse than death, how that was bad, a lot of people aren't so happy about that, because also Pike is a legacy character that a lot of people love and care about. Yeah,
I think there's a lot of space for that particular. I think it's really important. And I think Colin was telling me, I was talking about this with Colin because he was mentioning that you were having a panel. He was saying that one of the things that's really interesting to look at, especially in terms of Star Trek, is how time has affected and cultural shift has affected Star Trek. Star Trek has always been cutting edge. Back in the 60s, it was cutting edge culturally. Except now we look back on it, it's kind of misogynist and icky in a lot of places, but that's only because there's been, the ball has rolled on. And part of the reason the ball has rolled on is Star Trek, because it has managed to translate, or at least reiterate to the masses, a sense of progress, a sense of this is how we could be. And I think that the same must happen in terms of disability. And I know that when we were doing Deep Space in the 90s, I suspect that we would be using disabled actors to play the roles of that were playing, who were the disabled. I mean, particular series I remember very well fondly was a series called Melora. I wonder if that was, in retrospect, a really good representation, or are there elements of it that aren't cool?
I actually have a whole essay that's one day going to be published when the Deep Space Nine collection comes out. The episode has moments when you can tell where it was written by a disabled person, because Melora has a few really strong lines in there. But on the whole, it wasn't great. Like, Bashir had a line that was about how there weren't wheelchair patterns in the replicator anymore. And that was pitched as a good thing. But yeah. I mean, bodies are always going to be failing. There's always going to be a need for aids and accessibility and stuff.
Yeah.
So it kind of erases disabled people if there are no patterns for it.
Yeah. I think, again, time has shifted the conversation, has made, I think your point is very salient. I don't think I would have understood that very well unless someone like you explains that, enunciates it. There's no way that a person like me would understand, and because I simply am too lazy to make an effort, to go out of my way to understand other people's experiences, and that is laziness. It's not because I'm incapable. My goodness, I'm capable. And I think that most people are like me. I think that we're lazy, which has created a kind of ignorance, and that ignorance can bite you in the ass. And a lot of people do that, to me, growing up, because I don't look like them, and they say things, and I know they're not terrible people. I know they're just too damn lazy to go and find out a bit more about me, and a bit more about the culture I come from, and a bit more about people like me. So that is a wound that can be healed, and it takes people like you to do that.
Part of why I don't shut up about it.
I love that. We've talked about this before. And that is the positive way that we can fix some of the problems that we all have. There is a way forward for a lot of it. Some people are just beyond, no one's going to be able to help them. That's just too bad. But we must try. It's only when we find out we can't help them that we go, okay, I'm not going to try. Because we've got to assume that everybody is totally has an appetite to get on, and we can just bump them out of their laziness, their bad habits. And I think that being critical is just super important. I mean, if there's anything I can do to reiterate how important doing this honestly and forgetting about the G rating or the 13 rating, just say what you need to say, because you need to be heard.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I was talking to Casey before this. I was like, maybe I won't go off on disability this time, because I always do. But here we are again. And today is actually, because we're on this topic anyway, it's a Disability Day of Mourning. A lot of disabled people with caretakers wind up murdered by their caretakers.
Yeah,
and then media and people around them pitch the murderers as sympathetic figures. Like, they had to deal with this disability. You had no idea how much it was dragging them down. And so today, March 1st, is when people remember disabled lives that were lost like that.
Day of remembrance. Thank you for letting me know. I had no idea. There you go. Look. And please always go off on disability. It's your life. I mean, if I ask you how you are, you cannot ignore that part of you. So it's such an important part that it would be weird to self-censor yourself. So it's totally fine. And it's not a bummer either, which is amazing. It's actually fascinating to learn. I know that Rob has taught people an enormous amount, and you've taught people an enormous amount. But it's funny, one of the things that is most salient, I've used that word already today, but that's my word of the day, is who of you, the way you are, the way you behave, the way you laugh and interact, and that's one of the best lessons. That's one of the best barrier breakers. And both you, I mean, because I'm sure people meet Rob sometimes. He's clearly disabled, and they probably just don't know where to look. They're kind of embarrassed for themselves, and that kind of leads into a spiral of non-communication. So the minute you're as gregarious as you both are and engaged, you bring us in, and that's really, 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 really good. That's really important. Certainly have for me, and that's got a whole range of issues. That's what I respond to. Someone giving me a verbal hug. So I love the blueberry donut holes idea. I think that's magnificent. I think you should definitely get involved in that. How are your family? What's going on in your wider world?
Well, my brother's doing well. My littlest sister is doing pretty well. She's got my youngest niece, and she'll be turning 1 very shortly here. She's adorable.
Oh, thank you, Kellis. Then I will talk to someone else. I don't think we've got any birthdays today, any more birthdays, but we might. There's always a surprise around the corner.
Thanks, Keyless. Happy birthday.
See you in April.
All right, let's go and talk to Anya. It's been a while.
Hi.
Yeah.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud
Okay.
and clear. How are you?
As good as can be, I would say.
Where are you?
In Germany.
Okay.
It's like nearly 4 a.m.
It is very, very early. You just getting up or just going down?
I didn't go to sleep, if you mean that. I just stayed up.
Oh my gosh, that's so tough. How's the feeling in Germany? Because there's a lot of very, very serious things happening around the corner from you. I'm so depressed by what's happening over there in Ukraine.
It's really kind of depressing, but it's also nice to see how much the people in Germany support the Ukrainian people, because there are a lot of Ukrainians living in Germany. The Rose Monday parade in Cologne, which is the biggest in Germany, didn't happen, but a peace march happened instead, because they decided it wasn't a good time to celebrate, and it was about 250,000 people. And on Sunday, 500,000 in Berlin. So that's kind of a bit uplifting, but it's not nice seeing like all the stuff happening in the Ukraine, like on 24/7, it's on the news.
Anyway, let's get back to something much more fun. Although I can't leave it there because you're in Germany, I just couldn't not, because it's so close to you. But so what's going on in your world apart from that?
My vacation, because I'm between semesters right now.
Right.
And the COVID situation in Germany is getting better, so I'll be able to work this month. So I can work in my free time. It's not so hectic when I'm still in university and like spend 10 hours or more studying and then go working. So it's always great when I'm out of school, so to speak, and can go work. And I really love my co-workers and working. And it's like I spent over 2 years working with those people and barely seeing them. In November, when everything started, I got to work like 2 or 3 times. And then all the events were shut down again because I'm working as a Sweden waitress in a concert hall. So those things weren't happening anymore.
No.
And Carol mentioned Carnival. Yeah. The last time I spoke to you, I had a dance performance, a Carnival dance performance the next Saturday. And after that, everything was shut down in that regard as well. So
that's the last memory.
We worked 9 weeks very hard to like study those 9 dances and get them 2 dances in 9 weeks and get them performance ready, only to dance once and then nothing. And 1.5 weeks ago, we started up practice again because last Saturday we had 2 performances and now everything is over again. Now we have like a 3-week break before we start rehearsals again.
Do you have video of the dance?
Mel has a photo.
Wow, that's astonishing. You guys look amazing. What is that? What is that look? What does it come from? What's the origin of of this costume?
It's supposed to look like an old Preußisch military uniform, because
Yeah.
when the whole carnival thing started in Germany, they were kind of making fun of the Preußisch soldiers in a way.
Right.
And at that time, the people dancing were men and not women. That's only around for about 70, 80
Oh,
years now.
I see.
Before that, it used to be men dancing in skirts and stuff like that.
And there you are, second from the right. As I look at there you. Oh yes, you can tell even with blonde hair, which looks very good on you. That's just fantastic. You guys look great. I wish we could see it. We're going to have to get that video sent over at some point. We're going to have to find out how to get it to Mel. That's fantastic. So that's that's one of your hobbies. One of your pastimes is doing this dance, which must be quite difficult, quite technical.
Yeah, it's a lot about formations, and it has its origins in like the revue dances of Paris, and like how the military marches and stuff like that. And
Yes.
then nowadays there are a lot of acrobatic elements in it, but we weren't able to do those this season because we simply weren't in the condition to do it, because
Right.
we spent 1.5 years doing nothing, and
Yeah.
doing splits, jump splits and stuff like that isn't easy when
Not-
you're completely out of shape.
Wow. So what else are you interested in? Oh, actually, you know what? I'm kind of interested in the concert hall. What's the kind of thing that they do in the concert at the concert hall?
Usually concerts, sometimes we have theater performances or an ice review we had. Cirque du Soleil was supposed to be there
wow.
on like for a week, 3 performances a day.
And do you have
So-
rock band or classical music or everything?
Everything. I love working metal concerts, even though I don't like the music, and the glasses always explode in the shelf because of the bass sound. It's so loud. They sometimes burst on the cupboard. So yeah.
Oh my gosh! Whoa! So you're finishing. You finished this semester at college. What were you studying? What are you studying?
I'm getting a law degree.
Oh my goodness! Fantastic. What kind of law?
It's general law, because
This
in
one,
Germany,
but do you have a plan to branch off into a specific kind of law?
no, because I'm not that far into my studies. We get 2 specialities when we're half through. We have like exams half through our study time, when you had all the major subjects, and then you pick 2 specialities you want to make, but you still have to take everything else as well.
Yeah.
And the end of the study is a state exam, and if you get that right, you can basically do anything you like in law.
It's fantastic.
At least in Germany. And
Is
I
it
want to
similar-
become a prosecutor when I'm finished.
Okay, no messing around. Do you have was there someone who inspired you to become a lawyer? Because often you there's someone you look up to that was a lawyer that you go, I'd like to do that. So you just came at it all by yourself.
In kindergarten, to be exact. I worked my whole school time to have good enough grades to go to law school after I finished my Abitur.
In kindergarten?
Yeah, and that has never changed. I dabbled in chemistry for a while, but eventually I got back to wanting to be a lawyer.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. That's really amazing. The law plays a big part in my English family, because I've got a stepfather who really brought me up, and he's called Michael. And the reason why is because his father was a judge. And then he had the most astonishing opportunity to be the second judge of the English contingent to go and sit at the Nuremberg trials. Do you have any interest in one day being a judge?
I think it's a lot more responsibility, and I don't know if I would be ready to take it, because I could apply for the job as a judge directly after I finished my 2 years after law school. But I just want to start like slow, maybe in the future, but
Wait a
I
minute.
think I
You
stick to being
you
a
decided you wanted to be a
prosecutor.
lawyer at kindergarten. Surely you thought you might want to be a judge at first grade, right away. That's great. That is really cool. That's a brilliant story. I think you're a real inspiration. I think that's fantastic, Anya.
Mel has actually 2 pictures I wanted to show you of after I finished my exams, I started painting my father's PS5.
Oh my
And
goodness,
those
you're
are
the
the
brilliant
faceplates.
artist as well. You are.
Yeah, his favorite game at the moment is Borderlands. So the 2 characters are his favorite characters from Borderlands. And I spent like a solid 90 hours on those plates. But it was fun.
Wow, that is great. And what have you painted them on? I can't quite tell.
It's the faceplates, like this big white sheets on the sides of the PS5. And I
Ah,
spray painted them and then drawn on it with acrylic paint.
I'm glad I asked. That's wild. That's really, really cool. Wow.
I thought
That's
you might enjoy it.
I love it. I think everyone else will love it too. I haven't played Borderlands. What's that about?
You can't ask me that because I have absolutely no idea. It's like this comic-y space shooter game thing.
Okay. So you're not fan geeking out. That's not a fan thing. You just did it because it interested you for a second.
No, I wanted to paint my father's PS5 and he was allowed to decide what I was allowed to paint on it.
That's really cool. That's really great. Okay. So he's the Borderland fanatic.
Yes.
That's really great. Fantastic, Anya. Well, thank you for gracing us with those beautiful illustrations. And well, I'm looking forward, now you've mentioned that it exists, that the video actually exists of you and your troupe dancing. I would love to see it. Can
I try to
beg
get
you?
it to Mel.
Can I beg you to organize that? And then you can come on
Yeah.
and tell us a bit more about it.
I will.
Thank you, Anya.
Thanks, Anya. All right, we're gonna go talk to Renee and Matt.
Hello.
Hello, Matt. Hello, Renee. It's always good to see you. Don't often see you around here, Matt. It's lovely to see you again.
Hi, Sid.
How are the boys' guitar coming along?
It's going well. And I'm starting to think we're getting pretty close to where I'm going to have to buy him an electric guitar. But I'm kind of trying to push it off just a little bit more.
Can't they just imagine? Can't you just go, air guitar for you, air guitar for you? That's fantastic. For those who don't know, Matt's kids, Matt and Renee's children, are both very young, are both being diligently taught how to play guitar, and they play brilliantly. They play a trio together, and they did on this in the club about 8 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was quite a long time ago, so I'm always interested to know how well they're getting on. It's fantastic. How have you been?
I've been well. Just
Good.
working a lot, so that's been nice.
Is it changing for either of you? Do you feel that there's a sense of evolution, a sense of difference? Something might be coming that's better than what was around before?
I think so. Now we at least get these kind of periods where we can do stuff when we're between variants.
Yeah.
Whereas it was a little more of a grind earlier.
How have you been? Have you done okay? Both of you, really. I mean, I know Renee's been here. And I've loved seeing her. And it was brutal there for about a year ago for a while. One of the things that this whole COVID thing has done to us is, I think that you spent some time at home and then you got out pretty early, didn't you? Started going to work quite early. Is that it makes, it just brought everybody together. I mean, I think my wife and I, Shana and I, had no idea that we could even do this, that we could just be around each other all the time. But we could, and it just made us a little bit closer. And I think with youngsters in the mix, but I also think they're incredibly adaptable and that they actually take great comfort from being around you all the time. So it's a weird mixture of I love this and I don't like this and I love this, and you probably, Renee, felt it every single day. I hate you, I love you, I hate you, I love you.
I still do. I still get that.
I can't remember what your line of work now.
I'm a real estate broker.
Oh, okay. Whoa, well, that's kicking off.
Yeah, and, you know, and one of the nice things about it is technically I work with the public, but not like if I was a server or someone in the store where I'm seeing, you know, 100 people a day.
Yeah.
You know, at any given time, if I'm particularly busy, I might have 4 or 5 clients that I'm working with.
Yeah. I mean, it's a crazy time to be buying houses right now. At least it is where in my neck of the woods. A house isn't on the market for 2 days before it's gone. I mean, we'd love to buy a house one of these days when we can afford it, but it's we're just not even thinking about it. We're saying, well, give it 2 years, maybe we'll be able to. The prices won't have accelerated too much that we have a chance, or maybe we'll buy some land and have someone just build one of those modular houses. And Renee,
Yes.
are you thinking of dusting off your teaching smock when you think of getting back in the saddle on that front at some point, or are you gonna think about looking elsewhere now?
Well, I'm working on my author career currently, so
That I like.
I'm still doing that.
I like
got 4 rough drafts completed, and
Wow.
the first one is basically ready to go, but I'm holding it back until I get the first 2 or 3 in a series. And I see, no, Matt has not read it yet, and we'll actually segue into why Matt has not read it in a minute. Miserable.
What don't you like about the edit?
It's really hard for me to let go of the scenes that I love, even if they don't serve the story.
Yeah.
So I've been pulling them aside and putting them in their own little, you know, deleted files, but like not
Exactly what
actually
you should
deleting
do.
them.
Very
But
smart.
it's still just, ugh, you know, it's hard to let go of those. And then rewriting, it's the rewrites, the constant rewrites of like, okay, that didn't work, so now I have to change this, but by changing this, I have to change this. And now that I've changed that, I have to change this, and then this doesn't work. And
Tell me about it.
it's hell.
We've started producing, a friend of mine and I, but we put our writers through such hell. Because we go again and again and again, and we change it round, and then we put the beginning at the end, and we're like, let's look at it all from this angle, and so I feel your pain. I'm really sorry. So what were we going to segue on to?
So the reason that Matt has not read my book, so I write romance novels, and I get a lot of flack about why I won't let Matt read them. And it's not that I won't let him, it's that he won't get anything out of it because he's never really been big into reading fiction. We hadn't really figured out, you know, like it was never just a thing, as you know,
Right.
it was that he just always read nonfiction and I write fiction, and that was fine. But then 6 months ago, maybe, he was reading an article and discovered something about himself that kind of made everybody realize why he doesn't like to read fiction.
Right.
So I was looking at this article, they were talking about aphantasia. And that is where when you close your eyes, you don't see things. Like you don't really have a mind's eye.
Right.
I heard of a friend in when I was a teacher who had it, and it just never really clicked, because one of the interesting things about aphantasia is there's no real way to diagnose it because it's purely based on your own experience.
Inside. Yeah.
And I saw was reading someone discuss counting sheep. And because like I can't see what other people are seeing in their mind's eye, I just always thought that was, and I thought most discussion about what you're seeing when your eyes are closed was kind of metaphorical in a way. Yeah. And I thought counting sheep was, you know, like you close your eyes and you count. And that's just what they called it, counting sheep. And then I saw someone say, what people don't realize is some people can close their eyes and visualize an entire flock of sheep and like go through and count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, oh, I can't do that.
What is that?
Like at all. And it was fascinating to kind of learn something so basic about myself. I'll be watching the movie and they'll have something where they do a police sketch. And that's always seemed like something that would be really difficult for me. And now I realize like that's probably a lot easier for other people.
Yeah.
Because they can close their eyes and see them.
Absolutely.
And then one of the other ones that blew me away is I was just walking around and thinking about something, and I turned to Renee and was like, so when people are reading books, they're like seeing these things happen.
Oh my goodness, of course.
And she was like, of course. And I'm like, oh.
So I said, well, what do you see?
The words on the page.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
incredibly boring. How incredibly boring. Reading a book where you only see the words on the page and you can't imagine the character.
Yeah.
And that just always seemed obvious to me because of course I see the words on the page. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
That's how eyes work. And then you were asking me what I do see when I close my eyes. And it's boring. It's the back of my eyelids.
Yeah, of course. Of course. So tell me, I'm just going to break this down a little bit. Is it aphantasia sounds, is it as it sounds? It's like you are incapable of fantasy, aphantasia. Is that what that's what in my mind's eye, etymologically, that's how the word breaks down.
No, I can get lost in thought. I just don't see it.
Interesting. Okay. When you were a kid, and all kids go, what do you want to be when you grow up? Or what are you going to do if you have $1 million? Or, how did those games go? Because that's very much part of the social place situation where you imagine yourself in a different place as a different person. You see yourself differently.
It's more just a question that I would answer with words. So I never. So
you never understood. You're missing out on the whole point of the game.
Yeah, I never even considered it. Now that you're mentioning, like, I never saw myself as a firefighter. Again, like I has always taken that language to be metaphorical.
Yeah.
I never even considered like visualizing myself as something and thinking, oh, that works or that doesn't work.
That is fascinating. And what about your boys? Do they have? Are you looking at them now differently, thinking, I wonder if they've got this, or are they definitely capable of imagining things?
I think they are. They're totally capable of that.
But when we first figured it out, I was constantly asking them, "Hey, close your eyes. What do you now picture a palm tree? Can you see a palm tree? What does it look like?" Because I was like, and Matt was like, really, we were just fascinated by it because we've been married almost 20 years and like we just figured this out.
But it's fascinating to not know someone as well as you thought you knew them.
Yeah, well, and I think it makes more sense to him now why when I'm reading, and there were times, especially before we had the kids, and I would be totally lost in the story because like in my mind, I'm in the story. Like I'm standing on the street corner with these characters watching this happen.
Absolutely.
And he's talking to me and I don't even hear him because I'm like in it. And he's just like, how do you get so lost in it?
Yeah, absolutely.
He can't do that because he just sees the words.
That's amazing. I mean, I don't think it's a disability. I just think it's just a trait. I mean, it's something. It's kind of astonishing. In a way, you're off the hook for a lot of stuff,
And now he doesn't have to read my books.
You don't absolutely have to read those books. So tell me, is there any connection between that and empathy? Have you looked into this anymore?
I'm pretty empathetic. I'm a pretty caring guy.
Caring and empathy are different things, but yes, absolutely.
Moving past loss is my understanding is a little easier. If you lose someone, because you don't see them.
Yeah.
Earlier, Matt he didn't hear the part where you were talking about losing your mom, but a few years ago, Matt lost his mom and I was remembering going through that and feeling that. And we've talked about that, like he doesn't see her anymore. because
Right.
it's, you know, he can see her in a picture, but like he can't see her in his mind. But I was remembering that goodbye evening where we were all gathered, and
Yeah.
I can put myself back in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find yourself really relying on photographs then, because you just, as 8 memoirs?
Yeah, I saw someone had a question in the comments about visual memories, and yeah, I just don't really do that. Like I said, I wouldn't be able to police sketch my dad. That would be exceptionally difficult for me. Now, if you put up like 100 pictures, I could pretty easily go, oh, that one, you know, looks like him and the hair looks like that. And, you know, when I look at someone, I can remember like heavy build or light build, or they wear glasses or gray hair or beard. But like, can I close my eyes and like see those attributes? Not really.
Wow, that's astonishing. That just must be, does it like a weight off, or is like, oh, it's kind of interesting? How does it affect you?
That's kind of how I tend to be. Oh, interesting.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, occasionally sarcasm will kind of slip over my head. Just everything's kind of, yeah, pretty clear set for me most of the time.
It's astonishing. It really is astonishing. I wonder if that, I would love to kind of know more, because this is all very fresh to you. And there must be people who are researching this sort of thing. Would love to talk to you some more about this. I would be really surprised if a lot of people weren't in the same boat as you. But it's just something they wouldn't realize. Like you got to 40 and you just went, oh, you know,
yeah.
Renee started writing and that unclicked it for me. It would just help a lot of misunderstandings that some people have with each other, for example. And I think it's really important, because a lot of people are probably having relationships, and that includes children, you know, they're not all marital, and that would be benefit from actually knowing this was a thing. So there'd be no point going down that avenue, trying to find ways. I kind of wonder if some people I know aren't having the same, because I've not been able to get through on certain levels at all. But that's fascinating. Thank you. Thank you. That's really interesting. I've never heard of it, never thought of it, never occurred to me.
Yeah, it's a new one for me too.
Yes, well, it's yours. You're going to be living with it.
Yeah, it's unlikely to change at this point.
No.
It would honestly be probably terrifying if it did.
Suddenly to be inundated with all these visuals in your head. Horrible, horrible stuff. Wow, that's amazing. It's so great to talk to you, Renee. And Matt, I think you're a gentleman for having brought this up. I'm fascinated that now is a thing, and I'm going to be thinking about it more often. I think someone should research it, do some serious research into it, because now I look back and go, wait a minute, that guy was probably, okay. So that's what you made me do. I'm going to revise all my terrible opinions of people in the past. You're brilliant. Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both. A true humanitarian effort there.
Yeah.
Sid's rethinking all of his
all the
opinions of people.
Dissonant relationships.
All right, we are ready to wrap now. And you heard Chicago come up a few times. It is April 8th through the 10th. Don't turn up on the 18th, Sid. No one will be there.
Okay, that would be my thing. I would normally do that. And they'd be like, why is nobody here?
Yeah, no, come early. We will be putting together some plans. We'll definitely be doing a social club meeting. But
I can't wait to see everybody live. I haven't seen Mel for 100 years, so I can't
pretty much. And I've only aged like 5, so it's amazing. It's modern medicine, guys. So that's it for this week, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel.
Next Tuesday. Good night.
Feel better.
Thank you.